A statement like, no religion is better than another, sounds so politically correct, doesn't it? I mean, it's just so noble and open-minded and non-judgmental and accepting. Yet we wouldn't dream of talking like that in most situations of life. No political party is better than another, so it really doesn't matter who you vote for. No college is better than another, so it doesn't really matter where you go to school. No NFL team is better than another, so it doesn't really matter who wins and who loses. We say that's nonsense. Anybody who talked like that just didn't understand politics or education or football, because there's some very critical values that makes one better than the other. So when someone makes a statement like that about religion, they probably not thought it through very well, because there's over 4,000 religions in the world, and there's a good chance most don't have a clue what they all believe. They're probably only thinking of the major world religions, and they probably don't know that much about them either. So don't go getting all intimidated like you're talking to some kind of expert, because there's a good chance they're only repeating what they heard or maybe read on the internet. Now, we could go a lot of directions on this and get way off track, but we don't want to do that, because our goal with bite-sized answers is to give just enough information to create enough doubt to open up the opportunity to communicate the gospel. So that's what we're going to do here. Give just enough information so we can kind of have them cock their heads and go, I never thought about that. We're going to do this by asking three very common sense questions. Here's the first one. When it comes to children, is it better to protect them or to sacrifice them? Now, most of us would say, in fact, all of us better say, it's not good to sacrifice kids. They need to be protected and cared for. But do you know that throughout history, many religions have practiced the sacrificing of children? In fact, there are some in Africa that still do it today. So is that better or worse than Christianity that says children are of great value and should be protected? Worse, hands down. All right, here's the second one. When it comes to the poor and the needy, is it better to help them or to neglect them? Now, some of you might be thinking, I can't believe you're even asking that. Of course it's better to help them. But if you're a Hindu, or part of the many religions that have come out of Hinduism, like, say, Buddhism, you should neglect them, because their suffering is all part of the karma or the consequences they need to pay for former wrongs so they can move up the ladder. So don't mess with it. Now, is that better or worse than Christianity, where helping the needy and the poor is foundational? It's worse. How about this one? When it comes to your enemies, is it better to kill them or to love them? Now, I'm sure there's been times when all of us have thought, oh, it's better to kill them. But I think in reality, most of us would say, no, it's better not to kill them. Yet there are endless conflicts between many religions, like Hindus and Muslims, where it's both honorable and desirable to kill your enemies. In places like Nigeria, where I've been and seen it firsthand, it's open season on the killing of Christians by Muslims, especially if any of them ever convert from Islam to Christianity. Some of you may remember a novelist by the name of Salman Rushdie. He wrote a book back in 1988 called The Satanic Verses. And even though he was a Muslim, he said some not so flattering things about Muhammad and Islam in the book. This led to the supreme Islamic leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, issuing a death sentence on Rushdie, calling on all Muslims everywhere to kill him for being a blasphemer and an infidel. In fact, just last year, when he was speaking in New York, a man rushed the stage and stabbed him multiple times. And although he didn't die, he was severely wounded. Why? Because as a Muslim, this guy was trying to carry out the supreme leader's death sentence of 33 years earlier. So is Christianity, that says to love your enemies, better or worse than religions that say you should kill your enemies? Better. The value of human life is at the very core of Christianity, and that changes everything. Now, about this time, if the conversation had gone this way, since your goal would be to move to the gospel, you might say something like, you may not really understand what's at the core of Christianity, what makes it so different. If you've got a few minutes, I'd love to show you. And if they say yes, you draw out the gospel on a napkin or a fast food bag or whatever's available. The gospel alone is the power of God for salvation. So we answer questions with just enough information to open the door to be able to communicate the message that can change a life today, tomorrow, and forever.